we need to write a method isConsecutive, and it's going to take a stack of integers as a parameter, and it's going to return whether or not the stack contains a sequence of consecutive integers. So something like this would be true, something like this would be false, because you can see it's not consecutive. We have a 10 and then 12, it's skipping an 11. So we're going to code for this, and I'm going to start off by making our method header and then making the queue that we're using for an auxiliary storage. And then we can go over how we're going to solve this. So you can see I added two other variables here. We're going to want to return a boolean to say if it's either true consecutive or false not consecutive. Now, the reason why I store the size here is because we are going to want to run through this. However, we could use like a while loop, do it while it's not empty. The problem with that is we are going to want to look at this last thing and basically compare it to this. Or since we have a stack, let me fix this, and not a queue, we're going to be going down this way. And if we go down this way, once we reach this right here, we have nothing to compare it to last. So the size, I'm going to essentially say that it's going to be size, but -1. And that's how we're going to start our for loop. We're going to want to run through this entire thing. Again, since it's a stack, we're going to be popping out and it's going to be going backwards like this. Now we're going to want to put it into our queue. We can do this before we do any kind of check. We'll do int temp is equal to s.pop. So this is going to hold our current top stack value. And then we'll just do our q.add where we add our temp value. So that's already in there. Now let's do our condition checking. We're going to say if our temp, so the current value -1, does not equal to our next value in our stack. So if it does not equal to s.pink, or peak, not pink, the result is going to be equal to false. So we are just changing this from true to false. We're going to have to keep going. We can't just return false because we have to return this stack to its original order. But that's going to be it for this for loop. We can close it off. Now we are just going to want to, again, return the stack to its original order. That should return our stack to its original order. And then we're just going to return the result, which is the Boolean value. And then we can end this function. So if we press submit, we have an issue right here. And that's because if you look at it, everything else is fine, but we never put this 3 back in front. And the same thing with this one as well. And we're gonna have to go back into our for loop to do that. So inside of our for loop, remember it's size -1. So we need to check if we are at the last thing, if we've checked this last peak, because this is a peak, not a pop. So if this last value, so we'll say if our a +1, so we're checking the next value, is equal to our size variable, then we are just going to do a q.add our s.pop. So when it's at the very end, we're going to add our last stack value into our queue, and that'll pass 3 out of 3 tests. And that's how I would look at this code, how I would go about solving for this 14.10 exercise.